Usually when we talk about changing your life, there's this expectation of a massive, dramatic transformation.
Oh, totally. The classic movie montage.
Right. You wake up at 4 a.m., you drink some terrible green smoothie, throw out everything in your kitchen, and run 10 miles, and suddenly, boom, the music swells, and you're a completely new person.
Which is great in movies, but when you actually look at the mechanics of human behavior, that montage just totally falls apart.
It really does. The reality of change is much quieter, and honestly, a lot more complicated than a cinematic training sequence.
Yeah, I mean, the overnight success story is a very popular image, but it's fundamentally flawed. If you try to overhaul your entire life by tomorrow morning, biology and psychology are basically going to team up to stop you.
Which is exactly what we are exploring today in this deep dive. We're looking at how to actually change your life without that exhausting movie montage.
Right, because having a dream is one thing, you know,
Yeah.
but protecting it so it survives a normal Tuesday, that's where the real work happens.
Exactly. So the mission today is figuring out how to protect your goals and dreams from negativity, both from the outside world and from the loudest critic of all, which is your own mind.
Yeah, your own mind can be brutal.
It really can. Now, before we pull from our stack of sources today, which are just full of these incredible practical shifts for your routines, we want to ask you, the listener, for a tiny favor.
Just a really small one.
Yeah. I want you to complete a specific sentence in your mind. Or if you can, grab a pen and physically write it down. Ready? Here's the sentence. I am your name from your country, and one dream I will protect this year is, and then just fill in the blank.
You know, the psychology behind that tiny favor is actually quite profound.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, when you articulate your dream, when you literally attach your name and your geographical reality to it, you force it out of the blurry, abstract background of your mind.
Ah, so it makes it tangible.
Exactly. You give it space, you establish a baseline of respect for your own ambition, which is crucial.
I love that. Okay, so let's unpack this ambition. Because before we can defend our dreams from other people, we really have to look at how we sabotage them ourselves, right?
Oh, absolutely. The sources emphasize that the most formidable roadblock isn't usually external, it's internal. We trap ourselves.
Yeah, the core issue for so many people is that they just feel entirely stuck.
Right. It's imagine the physical sensation of stepping into thick, heavy mud.
Ugh, the worst.
You try to pull your foot forward to take a step, but the mud just holds your shoe fast. In behavioral terms, that mud is the fear of failure.
So people are just constantly asking themselves, what if I try and fail? What if I look completely silly? What if my friends laugh?
Yes. But they rarely stop to ask the inverse question, which is, what if I try and succeed?
Wait, let me challenge that for a second, though.
Oh.
Why is our brain pouring that mud in the first place? If I have a goal I want to achieve, why does my own mind actively paralyze me with the fear of looking silly?
That's a great question. It's actually trying to protect you.
Protect me from what, exactly?
Your social status,
Mm-hmm.
which, from an evolutionary perspective, is directly tied to your survival.
Oh, wow, okay.
Think about human history. 10,000 years ago, if you tried a wildly new hunting strategy and failed, the rest of your tribe might laugh at you. Or worse, they might ostracize you.
And being kicked out of the tribe meant you were going to freeze or starve.
Exactly. Our modern brains still carry that ancient hardware. So when you think about starting a new business or writing a book, your brain registers the risk of public failure not just as an embarrassment, but as a literal mortal threat.
That reframes things completely. So the fear isn't a character flaw, it's just like outdated survival software running in the background.
Precisely. But that fear of looking silly is so paralyzing today, it leads to this terrible habit of waiting to feel ready.
Oh, the ready myth. People think I will start my business when I feel perfectly motivated, or I will finally speak that new language when I know all the grammar rules.
Which is the trap.
Yeah. It's like, isn't waiting for motivation kind of like waiting for the perfect bus at a bus stop? You're standing there in the pouring rain and a bus arrives, but you look at it and say, no, this bus is a little too crowded.
Right, and then another bus arrives and you say, no, the paint on this one is chipped, the seats look uncomfortable.
Exactly. You keep rejecting bus after bus looking for the flawless ride, and eventually you are just left standing there in the cold dark having gone absolutely nowhere.
That is a highly accurate way to picture it. And it highlights a massive misunderstanding about how motivation actually operates.
How do you mean?
Well, people assume motivation is the spark that starts the engine. They think they need to feel inspired to take the first step. But neurobiologically, motivation comes after action, not before.
Hold on, that sounds great on a bumper sticker, but if I am glued to the couch with zero energy, how am I supposed to take that first action without the motivation spark? Isn't that a chicken and egg problem?
I mean, it feels like one, but it really isn't. You don't need a massive surge of motivation. You just need enough friction to move 1 inch.
1 inch. Okay.
Yeah. When you take action, even a clumsy, imperfect, tiny action, like writing one terrible sentence of an essay, your brain registers that completion. It realizes, oh, we did a thing.
And that does something chemically, right?
Exactly. That triggers a micro-release of dopamine, the reward chemical. That dopamine hit is what actually generates the feeling of motivation, which then propels you to write the second sentence.
Wow. So the engine produces the spark once it is turning, not the other way around.
You've got it. Successful people share a hidden history of small, messy failures. They view failure and clumsiness as a natural part of the road, not a wall at the end of it.
So the secret is that you just have to be willing to take the imperfect ride. You just have to get on the chipped, crowded bus.
Taking imperfect action, a messy start, is infinitely better than waiting for a perfect one day that never arrives.
All right, so let's say you do it. You take that messy start, you hop on the imperfect bus, you overcome your own evolutionary hesitation, and you finally take action.
Okay, good.
The natural next step is that you get excited. You want to tell your friends, your family, your coworkers about your goals.
Oh yeah, that's usually what happens.
But what happens when the people around you aren't supportive? Because from what the sources say, that has to be the fastest way to derail a new habit.
It is often the first major external roadblock, and it is incredibly painful. You share a new dream with someone close to you, and they immediately tell you to be realistic. Or they give you that condescending little smile.
Ugh, that smile is the worst.
It hurts. But it is crucial to understand the mechanism behind their reaction. Their words are rarely an objective assessment of your capabilities. It's actually psychological projection.
Meaning they're projecting their own limitations onto me.
Precisely. They are projecting their own fear of risk. They prefer the safety of the known.
Okay, I love this analogy from the material. Imagine you have decided you want to climb a small mountain in your town.
Right, you're lacing up your hiking boots.
Yeah, and they look at you from the living room and say, no, no, stay on the sofa. The weather is unpredictable. It is dangerous outside. Why would you risk it?
And the irony is, you aren't asking them to climb the mountain with you. You just want them to say, have a great climb.
Exactly. But your sudden ambition makes them hyper-aware of their own decision to stay safely on the sofa. It makes them uncomfortable.
That's spot on. Your movement highlights their stagnation.
And this brings me to a concept from our source material that I just think is vital for navigating these exact situations. When you're dealing with unsupportive people, you need to give your dream a small emotional jacket and a little umbrella.
I love the emotional jacket metaphor.
Right. Yes, you have to dress your dream for the weather because a new goal is incredibly fragile.
It really is.
If you take your newborn dream out into a storm of other people's negativity and cynicism without any protection, it is going to catch a cold and die. You have to actively shield it.
The practical application of that jacket is keeping the dream private and precious in its early stages. Think of a new idea as a small, flickering candle flame.
Okay, a candle.
Yeah. If you hold it out in the open wind, it blows out instantly. You have to cup your hands around it to protect it until the flame grows into a strong fire.
So you don't need everyone's approval.
Not at all. You do not need the approval of everyone in your life. You just need a few trusted people who genuinely believe in you.
But what does putting on that jacket actually sound like in a conversation? Like if I am at a family dinner and someone rolls their eyes and gives me the whole be realistic speech, how do I protect the candle without starting a huge argument?
Well, you realize that you don't have to invite them into the debate. You don't have to defend the math of your dream to someone committed to misunderstanding it.
That is so freeing.
You can simply smile, change the subject, and quietly think to yourself, okay, you don't see it yet, but I see it. You become the silent protector of that light.
Because the only person who fundamentally needs to believe in the viability of the dream is you.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've put the emotional jacket on our dream. We've cupped our hands around the candle to shield it from external critics and the people on the sofa. But our sources warn us that there is a more insidious threat.
Ah, yes. The invisible roadblocks.
Right, these invisible threats lurking right in our pockets and our environments that quietly drain our momentum.
The dream thieves.
Dream thieves. These are those sneaky little mechanisms that steal your time and your energy, but they do not give you anything positive in return.
We are talking about the constant pinging of notifications on your phone, or that endless, mindless scrolling on social media when you meant to just check one message.
The danger of these dream thieves is how harmless they appear, isn't it?
Totally. They don't announce themselves as enemies of your progress. They present themselves as tiny, well-deserved breaks. We tell ourselves, oh, I will just scroll for 5 minutes to relax my brain.
But the mechanism of endless scrolling is designed to hijack your dopamine system.
Yes, those 5 minutes compound, the algorithm feeds you outrage or novelty, and suddenly an hour is gone. You haven't relaxed at all. Your energy is actually entirely drained.
And here's where it gets really interesting, because there is another, much sneakier dream thief mentioned in the material. And this one actually disguises itself as productivity.
Oh, the overachiever's dilemma.
Yes, it is the trap of trying to chase 10 dreams at the exact same time. It's the person who wakes up on Monday and says, okay, by Friday, I am going to learn conversational French, start an e-commerce business, lose 10 pounds, and learn how to play the acoustic guitar.
Which on paper sounds incredibly ambitious. It feels like you're finally taking charge.
But what actually happens in the brain when we do that?
The brain experiences severe cognitive overload and essentially short circuits. Every time you switch your attention from learning French vocabulary to calculating business margins to planning a diet, you pay a heavy biological tax.
A tax? What kind of tax?
It's called a context switching cost. Your brain burns through glucose rapidly, trying to load the new rules for each distinct task. When you give your brain 10 massive, conflicting directives at once, it becomes paralyzed by decision fatigue.
So instead of making incremental progress on all 10 things,
The brain protects itself by giving up, seeking comfort, and sending you right back to the sofa to scroll on your phone.
wow, so the ambition actually triggers the exact behavior you are trying to avoid. How do we defeat this specific thief? If I have 10 things I genuinely want to do with my life, what is the play?
The solution is establishing a firm priority. The sources strongly recommend choosing one main dream for the current season of your life.
And a season might just be the next 3 to 6 months, right?
Exactly. You audit all your goals and you pick one, just one, to be your absolute priority.
But doesn't that feel like I am failing the other 9 goals? Like if I focus only on the business, am I abandoning my health or my desire to learn an instrument?
Not at all. That is a false binary. Think of it this way. The other dreams are not dead or abandoned. They are simply sitting in the back seat of the car, relaxing and enjoying the ride, while your main priority gets to sit in the driver's seat and hold the steering wheel.
They are still in the vehicle with you.
Yes, they are still part of your life's journey, but they aren't fighting for control of the steering wheel right now. Once the priority reaches a cruising altitude, or the season changes, you can pull over and let a different goal take a turn driving.
The other dreams are just chilling in the back seat. That relieves so much pressure. All right, so let's say I've fended off the dream thieves. I've got my single priority in the driver's seat.
Sounds like a solid setup.
But I still have days where I wake up exhausted or work runs late and my motivation tank is completely empty. How do we keep the car moving forward on the terrible days?
That brings us to the antidote to inconsistency, establishing a daily anchor.
A daily anchor.
Yeah, a daily anchor is a small, highly specific daily action that keeps the dream from drifting away. And the trick is, it cannot be a massive 2-hour work session. It needs to be small enough that you can execute it even on your worst, most chaotic day.
This connects beautifully to utilizing pocket time. I find this concept brilliant.
Pocket time is a game changer.
Imagine that the small, unexpected 5-minute blocks of time throughout your day are like actual coins in your pocket.
Like when you have 5 minutes while waiting for the water to boil.
Exactly. Or you have 10 minutes sitting on the commuter train. Most of us just throw those time coins in the trash by pulling out our phones to look at social media.
Right.
But if you collect those coins, if you invest those random 5 minutes into executing your daily anchor action, you can actually buy something massive over the course of a year.
Because you are leveraging the power of compounding. And doing that daily anchor action, especially on the days when you are exhausted and actively do not want to do it, is how you demonstrate what the sources call loyalty to your dream.
Loyalty. We usually reserve that word for a pet or a best friend. It is a beautiful way to frame discipline.
It really changes the entire emotional texture of the effort, doesn't it? On days when your inner critic is loud, when you feel totally depleted, you don't have to climb the whole mountain. Doing just 5 honest minutes of focused work on a terrible day is an act of profound loyalty.
And it sends a message to your brain.
A very powerful neurological signal. It tells your own mind, I still care about this direction. This still matters to me.
And doing those 5 honest minutes actually starts to reprogram how your brain perceives your reality because the sources delve into the brain's filter, the reticular activating system or the RAS.
Yes, the RAS.
But how does a bundle of nerves actually change my reality? That sounds a bit mystical, to be
It
honest.
sounds mystical, but it's pure neuroscience. The reticular activating system is a network of neurons out your brainstem. Every second, millions of bits of data, sights, sounds, smells hit your senses.
If your brain processed all of it, you would go mad.
Exactly. So the RAS acts as the filter. It decides what information gets brought to your conscious attention and what gets ignored. It is the reason why, if you decide you want to buy a red car, suddenly you see red cars everywhere on the highway.
Oh, right. They were always there, but your RAS is now programmed to flag them as
It's an
important.
error.
So if I program my RAS with negative self-talk,
Then you get a negative reality. If you constantly feed your brain the narrative, I am failing, this is too hard, my shoe is stuck in the mud, your RAS will dutifully scan your environment to find proof that you are correct.
that's terrifying. It will highlight every minor setback and filter out your small wins.
It will.
So how do we hack the filter to work for us?
You adopt the under construction mindset. When a large building is under construction, it is chaotic. There is scaffolding everywhere. There is dirt. There are exposed wires. It doesn't look perfect.
But you don't walk past a construction site and say, wow, what a failure.
Yeah, exactly. You say, it is in progress. If you tell your RAS, my new habit is under construction, I am making progress, your brain actively starts noticing opportunities, small victories, and resources that you were previously blind to.
You literally train your brain's hardware to see opportunities instead of walls. That is incredibly empowering.
It really is.
Well, as we bring this deep dive to a close, we want to lock in the practical language we've used today. We are going to do a quick vocabulary tour so you can actually recognize these roadblocks when they inevitably hit you this week. We have 4 core concepts to arm you with.
Let's start with the first one, dream thieves. These are the seemingly harmless distractions like algorithmic scrolling, constant notifications, or context switching between too many tasks that hijack your dopamine and steal your energy.
The defining feature of a dream thief is that it drains your resources without offering any meaningful return on your investment.
Very true.
The second term is loyalty. Forget the harshness of the word discipline. Loyalty means staying with your dream or your priority even when it is difficult, inconvenient, or you feel depleted.
Investing just 5 minutes of pocket time on a bad day is how you prove to your own brain that you still care about the journey.
Exactly. Our third tactical term is the fear of failure. This is the evolutionary mud that holds your shoe.
It is the paralyzing, ancient fear that looking silly will lead to social exile, which stops most people from ever starting. The antidote is taking the imperfect bus ride and asking, what if I try and succeed?
And the final term is priority. This is the single goal you intentionally choose to put in the driver's seat of your life for a specific season.
It requires giving yourself the grace to put all your other wonderful ambitions safely in the back seat so your brain doesn't short-circuit from decision fatigue.
Identifying dream thieves, showing loyalty, navigating the fear of failure, and setting a clear priority. These are the actual unglamorous mechanics of changing your life.
That's the real work.
And to you, listening right now, please remember that you do not need a perfect plan today. You do not need a movie montage. Find a few coins of pocket time. Give your fragile new dream an emotional jacket so it survives the cynicism of others. Small steps, compounded over time, are what truly shift the trajectory of a life.
I want to leave you with one final thought from our sources to ponder as you go about your day. We are deeply conditioned by society to view our goals as strict deadlines, a pass or fail test.
Right.
But a dream is not a deadline. A dream is a direction. It is a compass that quietly points you toward the life you want. If we begin to view our goals simply as a direction we are walking toward, how might that change the way we view taking a day of simple rest?
That's a profound shift.
If your dream is a direction, then sitting down on the path to rest and recharge your batteries is not a failure. It's not giving up. It's just a necessary strategic part of a very long, very worthwhile journey.
A compass, not a deadline. Keep walking in your direction, even if it's just one imperfect inch at a time. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.